So if you guys are looking for another really great wrestling podcast, well, I've got one for you. It's the Rundown Wrestling Network. It's available everywhere podcasts can be found. They're a wrestling network for Smarks, created by Smarks. Their website, if you're looking for it, is rundownwrestling.com. That's rundownwrestling.com. And they have a Patreon that can be found at patreon.com/rundownwrestling. They offer weekly shows covering WWE, AEW, NXT, Impact, Stardom, and WCW Nitro. So go check out the Rundown Wrestling Network today.
Welcome to the NXT Podcast, your home for weekly NXT reviews and insight.
The beautiful part of NXT is that when one dream ends, another dream begins.
Find all of your NXT news, recaps, and analysis right here. So with that being said, we only have one question for you.
Are you ready?
We thought so. Let's get the show started right now.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to the NXT podcast. As always, I am your host. My name is Zachary Smith, overjoyed to be back with you again, talking about NXT for this week on the road to Stand and Deliver. We are a week away from Stand and Deliver. Still have not decided whether that is a really good name or a really bad name. I don't know. It will lead to a lot of, if their show is good, a lot of headlines saying NXT stood and delivered, which in that particular instance is a pretty good title in that it is great for puns in headlines. So we're happy about that. NXT did the thing they do sometimes with takeovers or big shows where, for all intents and purposes, this was a recap of what's going to be happening show. Not really anything new happening, just kind of a reminder of how we're setting the table with all of these things. Now, for a television viewing experience, that is good. This is a show that catches you up on why this man or this woman hates this man or this woman and why they're going to fight. That's one of the core parts of wrestling. Why are these two people fighting? For the purposes of, I don't know, for example, a podcast that focuses on NXT, that's a little bit trickier. One of my first weeks here hosting the show was the episode where just about the entire thing was about Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa and their feud. There's very little action in between, and I found it difficult to kind of stretch that out into a podcast. But we have plenty to talk about here, talking about how they set the table for Stand and Deliver. Now, before we get started, you can always find me over on Twitter. I am at ZachNXT. That's at ZACHNXT. We're always talking about wrestling and other fun stuff over there. I am also the host of Random Wrestling. You can find that anywhere you find this podcast. Not only are these episodes uploaded, but the idea is I take a random wrestling event on the network, I talk about it. Hasn't been a new episode up recently because it was a little bit slow, and then that move to Peacock sure did mess my thing up. I picked a really good time to create a podcast completely based on the entirety of the network's pay-per-views, whereupon now we have an app that doesn't work as well and didn't have all of the pay-per-views. So we're working on that. Hopefully I can have an episode out this week for you. But I'll keep you updated on that. Now, before we get started, we usually talk about the news and the notes, stuff that's going on. This is a segment I've called News. It's news with an exclamation point. And as always, I want you to know this is very heavily researched, and it's certainly not me just now opening my phone, typing in WWE, and going to the news tab on Google. So if you think that's what it is, shame on you. I'm more professional than that. But if you were to do that, you would see that there's some stuff here. Charlie Arnold, I believe that's Charlie Caruso in WWE, is leaving for ESPN amid rumors of backstage tension. So here's the thing. A a lot of times when WWE is mad at somebody, it's for stupid reasons. You would hear stories back from the Attitude Era where somebody would come in and they wouldn't respect the boys and they wouldn't respect the business. The first problem there is that it's called the boys, and that disregards the women on the roster. But the other problem is that by disrespecting the boys and disrespecting the business, often they would mean they didn't come and shake hands with every single person back there, and so they got backstage heat or got in trouble backstage. You can see that there's a problem with that. One, because those are unwritten rules that nobody would know, so you can't be mad at somebody for breaking them. But also, there is not another workplace in the world where they're going to look at you sideways because you didn't walk to everybody in the company and shake their hand. That's a dumb rule. Stop taking yourself so seriously. I love wrestling, but you're wrestling. Maybe relax. The reason that Charlie Caruso had some heat is because she was late to interviews. She had the unenviable task of being the backstage interviewer in WWE. That job generally just consists of saying, "Sheamus, what are your thoughts about this?" and then holding a microphone, and then the wrestler walks away, and you just kind of stare off into blank space. It doesn't seem like a very fun or fulfilling job, but Charlie would apparently be late to these interviews. Apparently, she was rumored to be late for a meeting with interview with Randy Orton, and an interview with Sheamus, and that made its way up, and there was some heat over that, and so Charlie, who's already been doing a lot on ESPN, is going to pursue full-time work with ESPN rather than splitting her time or signing a new agreement or anything like that. I mean, I'm not going to be mad at WWE for being mad at her about that. That if that is true, that's not very professional. I will say that if my two jobs were ESPN and being a backstage interviewer, I can understand why you wouldn't take that one as seriously, but if that's true, that's not the most professional thing. So I get that. I'm happy for Charlie that she's going to be able to focus on the ESPN side full-time. SB Nation says it sounds like WWE thinks that AEW bullied them on Wednesday nights. Let's see. So, on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer explained that there was a team meeting before this week's NXT. Dave says, quote, "So there was actually a team meeting before the show tonight about to move to Tuesday. So they started out talking about how 6 years ago at WrestleMania 31, how the little NXT promotion sold out a show in San Jose, and look how far we've come, and they've always been on Wednesday nights. And then the competition came to their night and tried to bully them, but now they have Raw as the lead-in, and they have the night to themselves. Everything's going to change." I don't think everything's going to change. I think people who are loyal to AEW are loyal to AEW, and people who are loyal to NXT are loyal to NXT, and people like me who don't particularly care are going to watch both. Or I usually just watch NXT, partially because it's my favorite wrestling show, partially because I get to come talk to you great people every week about it. I don't care that they moved nights. I would imagine that if I know WWE like I think I know WWE, they weren't happy about losing the ratings battle every week, because make no mistake, they do care about that, and they do think they should be winning that. If there were something about them being bullied out of that time slot that is hilarious, Vince McMahon is notorious for that. He, for all intents and purposes, bullied the other promoters before WWE was as big as it is today, and then cried foul when Ted Turner did some of the same things to him that he had done to others. WWE and any division of it being bullied into anything is objectively a hilarious thing. So, quote, "He's not going to be successful," unquote. Jim Ross reveals how WWE rejected a major superstar thrice. I'm not going to click on this one for a couple reasons. One is that I know who he's talking about, because Jim Ross is a big fan of telling you the same story a bunch of times. I know that that's Mick Foley. Now that I said it, I'm going to click it. I'm just going to scroll down. Yeah, it's Mick Foley. Of course it's Mick Foley. If you want spoilers, Jim Ross really wanted to hire Mick Foley. Vince McMahon didn't see him as a star. And Vince said, I'm going to hire him so that you know how it feels to have a talent break your heart or something to that effect. I know that because I used to listen to Jim Ross's podcast, and he told that story a lot. I also didn't need to look because I don't listen to Jim's podcast. I like Conrad's podcasts a lot. I think I'm subscribed to all of them except for Jim's, because there was a stretch there where it was just a lot of angry old man, and that's not really super duper interesting to me. So that's just kind of a story that he tells a lot. So, if you want to hear it, listen to 3 episodes of his podcast, and it's probably going to be on there. One of these says the 10 best nicknames on the current WWE roster. Okay, this is already not a great... I can't decide if this is great or not, because number 10 is Kevin Owens. His nickname is KO. I don't know about that. I don't know. Number 9 is the rated R superstar Edge. Now listen, I love Edge as much as, if not more than the next guy. If anybody else were called the rated R superstar, you guys would think that's dumb. And you guys thought it was dumb when he first did it. It's just that you really like Edge, and so do I, but we need to admit that to ourselves. Number 8's the Nightmare Rhea Ripley. It's fine, I guess. Number 7's the Boss Sasha Banks, sure. Number 6 is the Phenomenal AJ Styles, sure. Number 5's the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. I think the Head of the Table's a better nickname, but that's fine. Number 4 is the Man, Becky Lynch. That's absolutely correct. Number 3 is the EST, Bianca Belair. Fastest, strongest, so on and so forth, sure. Number 2 is the Viper, Randy Orton. Strong disagree. Haha, get it? He's a snake. He coils and plays possum and then strikes. Do you get it? Because he's a snake. Number 1's the Charismatic Enigma, Jeff Hardy. The Charismatic Enigma as a nickname is a lot like how I imagine Jeff Hardy would be in person, which is friggin' almost cursed. Frickin' relax, dude. Like, settle down. You're a lot. The Charismatic Enigma is too many syllables. It doesn't roll off the tongue. I don't know that he's an enigma, necessarily. He's got a unique kind of charisma, I suppose. I have never been a Jeff Hardy guy, so maybe that's tainting this a little bit, but I think it's the same thing where if it weren't Jeff Hardy, you guys wouldn't think that that was a good nickname. I think if Roman Reigns had been the Charismatic Enigma, you guys would have been like, that's the worst name ever. And I'm going to be honest, it's not great. So, as you could tell in my very prepared segment, not a ton of interesting news going on. We're gearing up to WrestleMania. A lot of our stories are going toward there. We're gearing up towards Stand and Deliver here on the NXT side. So we're going to talk about the show. We start with a preview for April 7th's Stand and Deliver. This is going to be the 2-night event. Looks like they're pulling out all the stops. They brought Walter from NXT UK. That's big. I didn't think that he wanted to come over to the United States NXT side, but they brought him in at least for this to kind of add more to the card. NXT always puts on great, really big shows like takeovers, and this seems like it'll be no different. This is the first kind of 2-night event that they're putting on, and NXT is really good at loading up wrestling and loading up really good wrestling. And so, I think no matter what, we were going to end up with a really good show. So Roderick Strong is out first. His entrance theme is bland, and it matches the character that he used to be, which was a family man who was happy to be here, and that's cool. We all have families. Is not super interesting, kind of bland, but now his entrance theme is not so great. The Undisputed Era theme slapped. This doesn't slap anything. It's not good. It's not that it's bad. It's that it's not memorable. I just tried to remember it, to hum some of it, and I can't, and that's not a great sign for entrance music. as first impressions go. He's going against Cameron Grimes. Grimes says he wants to continue the Undisputed Era. He holds up a t-shirt he had made up. It says Grimes the System. Cameron Grimes also has Grimes the System custom music made. It's starting to play, and he turns toward it to point at it. Strong jumps him on the entrance ramp as his back is turned. They're having a pretty good match back and forth. Roderick Strong is kind of taken over. Cameron Grimes reaches in the tights. He pulls out, you don't know what yet, but Roderick Strong hits essentially an ankle slam and then picks up the object, and it's an Undisputed Era armband. Strong is distracted by this and then gets hit with the cave-in and loses. This is the same thing that they did with Johnny Gargano when him and Ciampa DIY broke up, and he was going against Andrade, and Zelina would distract Johnny with a DIY shirt. So the difference, the reason I think this isn't working as well is a few things. People cared about Johnny more than they care about Roddy right now. Not the person, the character. Also, in order to be distracted by that, you'd have to pick up the armband, open up the armbands, and see what it is. And also, it's very early in the story, and it kind of feels like they're trying to figure out what to do with Roderick Strong now, because you had Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. You knew they were going to be head-to-head right after, but, like, what the hell do you do with Roderick Strong, you know? Because Undisputed Era probably helped Roddy more than anybody, because it gave him a bad guy persona. It gave him a group to bounce things off of. Adam Cole was the mouthpiece. I think that helped Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong a lot. Bobby Fish just was kind of there and also not there a lot. So they're kind of trying to figure out what to do with Roddy. And right now, I don't care a lot, but I'm also not mad that they're doing it. Roderick Strong, nailed it, is very talented, and he's a great asset to have. And I never want a talent like that wasted. Like LA Knight feels directionless at the moment. I don't want that for anybody on the roster, because these are all hardworking people that quite literally put their health on the line every night that they perform. It's just a story I have seen NXT do before, and so I'm hoping that it takes different turns and that Roderick Strong comes out better for it. So from that, we get a promo video of Karrion Kross talking about why he's going to win the NXT title. Listen, you already know vignettes are not a strong point for Karrion Kross and Scarlett. They think it's intimidating and cool. It's not. Karrion Kross, Finn Balor is an interesting match, right? Because Karrion Kross beats Keith Lee for the NXT title. That match isn't great because Karrion Kross gets a shoulder injury during that match. He guts it out, finishes the match, wins the title, has to give it up, I believe, on that next episode of NXT that he's on. A tournament, or rather a clash of a bunch of different people. I think it was Ciampa, Finn Balor, Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano. Fatal 4-way Iron Man match takes place. Adam Cole and Finn Balor end up tied. Everybody was upset about that tie. I remember being upset because that's not what we were promised. They tie so that next time they face off, Adam Cole, Finn Balor wins. He becomes the NXT champion. So he becomes, I believe then it would be a 2-time NXT champion, years and years apart. Finn Balor turns into the best version of Finn Balor that we have seen in WWE. So Finn's been running strong with the title since then. Karrion Kross comes back. He takes out Damian Priest first, sends him to the main roster. He goes off with Santos Escobar in a little mini feud. They have a fantastic, seriously, you need to go watch it match. Apparently those two have history before WWE, so it was somebody they were comfortable putting Kross in there with. Santos made himself look really good. He made Karrion Kross look even better. They have their non-cruiserweight title match. Santos Escobar goes off with Jordan Devlin to unite those two titles. Karrion Kross circles his way back to Finn Balor. So Finn has gone through Pete Dunne and Kyle O'Reilly again and Adam Cole, and now it's time for Karrion Kross. Now, it would seem to me that they would still be very interested in putting that title on Karrion Kross, but maybe didn't want to take it off of Finn Balor right away. It seems to me the most logical thing is that you let Finn have this run with these classic matches, and now you're going to give Karrion Kross another shot at the title. I don't necessarily see the person on the roster that's going to take that title from Finn if Karrion Kross isn't the one to do it. So logically, in my head, it makes sense that Karrion Kross would beat Finn Balor and become a two-time NXT champion. In my heart, I don't want that. I would like Finn to keep the title because Finn has been fantastic as champion. He's been fantastic on promos. His character's been great, and he's been having nothing but great matches. Karrion Kross has been holding his weight in that regard too, but I haven't seen enough of it, and the way his character is portrayed in vignettes and things, I don't think that will be super interesting as champion. So, if you want like an actual prediction, I think Karrion Kross walks out NXT champion. If you want to know what I want to happen, Finn Balor retains the title. But we'll have to wait till next week to actually find out. So, after that, there's a promo video for Walter and Ciampa. So, Walter's defending the UK title against Tommaso Ciampa. I think that's going to be on night one. I think that's going to be the best match on night one. I'm not sure of all the other matches that are going to be on night one, but I think Walter and Ciampa are going to steal it. If you have not watched NXT UK, don't feel bad, I haven't either. There's only so many hours in a week to watch wrestling. Walter is fantastic. Walter's a big bully. He chops really hard. And people think that's all he does, but the other thing he does is have really, 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 really good matches. That's, coincidentally, also the thing that Tommaso Ciampa does. These two both do very personal feuds and have great matches. You put all of those things together, I see no universe in which this is anything less than a fantastic match. I think that Ciampa is very interested in staying in NXT. He said that he'll retire before he goes to the main roster. That's a smart decision. And so it would not make sense to me for Walter to lose the title to Ciampa. I think you save that for somebody who you can make off of that, because now Walter was made in NXT, at least, by beating Pete Dunne, who had been champion for a long time. Now Walter's been champion over 700 days. So whoever you want to beat him for that, let's just say it was Tyler Bate. That's a young guy who's been around who you can put some shine on with that. I don't think it's going to be a Tommaso Ciampa because Tommaso Ciampa doesn't need it. Also, I don't think Tommaso Ciampa is going to be a regular on NXT UK unless you do a short title reign and Walter wins it back, which would have absolutely no point. So, Walter wins that one. I believe, anyway. So on April 13th, it's announced that NXT is going to be moving to Tuesday. It's very interesting that they move to the 13th and have a big show on the 7th. They are trying hard to get some viewers to go with them because AEW's been beating them in ratings a lot. And listen, it doesn't really matter, but it matters to them because otherwise there would be no reason to have this huge blow-off show. You'll see on Stand and Deliver, there's going to be a million references to NXT moving to Tuesday, and that's smart business. You want to remind people, but it's also trying to get a bunch of eyes on your product, a bunch of people to watch it, hopefully not watch AEW, and hopefully go over to Tuesdays with you. I just think it's very funny, the timing on everything. They show Zoe Stark getting ready in the back, and they call her a rising star. I'm not sure how they came to that conclusion. I like everything that I've heard about Zoe Stark, the person, like in WWE, like hardworking, chasing a dream. Zoe Stark, the character, is a boring loser. And by loser, I mean person who loses, because she hasn't won a match. She also hasn't had a lot of promo time or vignettes or anything to make me care about her. The only thing I've seen of Zoe Stark is her really good match with Io Shirai, who's a fantastic wrestler who I haven't seen have a bad match. And she's had matches where she's put up a real tough fight but then lost. That doesn't make me think that you're like a fighter rising star. That makes me think you're a person who's not as good as these other people. So you don't necessarily need to keep telling me that she's special, because nothing about her has been special. So, maybe we don't need to do that every time we see her. So Zoe Stark comes out, reminder that all she has done is lose, and she's going to lose tonight, but she is a star. So Raquel Gonzalez comes out. 3 guesses, Raquel wins. Zoe Stark loses. It's a good thing she's a star. She gets out of the ring. Raquel's still in the ring, talking smack. And as is tradition, when you talk smack about Io Shirai, she comes out to the ring. They start fighting again. Earlier in the night, Raquel was walking out for her match. Io came up and said something to the effect of, "You can't kill me," and started fighting her. And Raquel, who's much bigger and stronger than her, put her down. Now, Io is back. So she's trying to brawl with her, and they brawl kind of all over, but Raquel keeps overpowering her. Io keeps coming back. Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole are going to have an unsanctioned match. They're calling it the co-main event. It isn't. The last match is the main event. Stop it. Vignette of their history and Undisputed Era. They've had this match in other promotions. And I imagine those matches have been excellent because these two have great chemistry. This one should be no different. It's been a pretty good story. Something's been missing from it for me. I don't know if it's that Kyle can't really go back and forth with Adam Cole in terms of promos or what it is, but they're going to have a fantastic match at Stand and Deliver. It's not the main event, but it's going to deliver like one. Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter are already in the ring for a tag match. That Sub-Zero looking dude or dudette is out in the chair with a mask on. Xia Li comes out. She does not have a tag team partner, so it's a handicap match. She's handling herself well. For some reason during the match, Caden Carter is distracted by the Sub-Zero dude or dudette that wasn't doing anything, just standing up, and she walks over to Sub-Zero, and Sub-Zero chokes her out because you shouldn't just get in people's faces. That's rude. Sub-Zero sits back down, and Xia Li kicks Casey's head off to win. I don't know what we're doing with Xia Li, but this is a very different presentation, and you guys know I'm big on different. That's why I'm a big fan of The Fiend and Alexa Bliss. I don't care if you think it's corny. I love it. So, I'm going to do my best to explain this. There's going to be a battle royal tonight. The final 6 men, there's 11 total, but the final 6 automatically go to the night 1 of Stand and Deliver for a gauntlet match. A gauntlet match is you and I start off in the ring, one-on-one, and if you pin me or make me submit, you win, but then the third person comes out, and we continue like that until there's an overall winner. So, the final 6 people left in this battle royal automatically go to that gauntlet match on night 1. The order of their elimination will decide the order of the gauntlet. So the first of the 6 goes in first, the second. The last person in this battle royal enters the gauntlet last. This is so much more complicated than it needs to be. The winner of the gauntlet match goes to night 2 of Stand and Deliver for a one-on-one match with Johnny Gargano for the North American title. So let's say Isaiah Swerve Scott wins that battle royal. He goes to the gauntlet. Let's say he wins the gauntlet. He goes on to night 2 to face Johnny. Again, this is more complicated than it needed to be. Isaiah Swerve Scott is out first. He should be North American champion soon, but he won't be because they don't really know what to do with him. Leon Ruff ambushes him before he can finish his entrance. It's weird seeing Leon Ruff on offense. They almost never have him do that because he's really good at selling. We're back from break, and Pete Dunne is out in the ring. He should be in the gauntlet with Isaiah Swerve Scott. Since the commercial break, a bunch of less important dudes are already in the ring. There's 11 total. Again, there was supposed to be 12, but Roderick Strong decided to leave. We get a bunch of eliminations. Cameron Grimes, LA Knight, Dexter Lumis are your final 3. Cameron Grimes tries to bribe LA Knight and Dexter Lumis. LA Knight says that's not a bad idea. Lumis throws him out. So, in order from 1 to 6 in that gauntlet match, so far, it's Leon Ruff with Isaiah Swerve Scott. They're going to start us out. Then Bronson Reed, then Cameron Grimes. So, let's see. It's hard to describe. Dexter Lumis is on the apron. He's gone over the top rope, but he's standing on the apron. LA Knight goes out of the ring in between the top and middle rope. So he's on the floor, but he's not eliminated because he didn't go off the top rope. And then he just pulls Dexter Lumis' legs, and Dexter Lumis hits the floor. So LA Knight wins. So then, it should be Leon Ruff, then Isaiah Swerve Scott, then Bronson Reed, then Cameron Grimes, then Dexter Lumis, then LA Knight in the gauntlet match. I mean, I don't think LA Knight's going to win. I don't know what they want to do with him. I don't know what I need from them with him as a character, but I need something different than what I'm getting. Johnny was on commentary during this, and him and LA Knight are talking smack. Before that can go too far, Io Shirai makes her entrance again, taking a mic. She's very clearly hurt. She says Raquel. Then she cuts a promo that I did not understand, but I did understand that it was very emotional and doesn't like Raquel very much. And Raquel comes back out, and they brawl. A bunch of enhancement talent women try to separate them, but they can't because they aren't important enough. Io Shirai eventually jumps over the top rope, out of the ring, onto the floor, onto Raquel and a bunch of the enhancement talent on the floor. I think Raquel's going to take that title. She's been built up well, except for that hilarious tag team title thing. And I don't really see who else is going to take that title from Io if she doesn't. So I think Raquel's going to walk out of there. I also think that Kyle O'Reilly's going to beat Adam Cole, and that might be the last we see of Adam Cole on NXT. I think Raquel's going to beat Io. I think Finn's losing the title. Let's see. I think Walter keeps his title. I think, who cares about the women's tag titles? They might do a match for the men's tag titles. I'm not sure. But let me know what you thought of the show. Let me know what you think of Stand and Deliver. What do you think of my picks? Who do you think is going to win? Are you different from me? Let me know on Twitter. I'm at ZachNXT. That's at ZACHNXT. You can also listen to Random Wrestling anywhere you listen to this. Right now, it's just the Hell in a Cell 2019 episode, as well as the episodes of this podcast. More to come this week as I figure out Peacock. But in the meantime, I want to thank you very much for listening. I have been Zachary Smith. You have been fantastic. And once again, thank you for listening.